on Book Talk. I'm excited to bring you my friend Joanna Politano, and you're going to love getting to know her because her books, her latest is The Love Note, and her books are what I like to call kind of Gothic romance. And I'm going to let you tell them more about those, Joanna, and kind of introduce yourself to those who are watching live.
Sure. Okay. So it's kind of a Dickens flavor, Victorian historical, with a little romance, a little bit of mystery, just kind of all of my favorite things into one book. So yeah, the Gothic flair is in there a little bit too. Definitely the old houses, the old rambling abandoned houses and things like that. And yeah, they usually come out exploring some deeper themes, and I don't know, they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, when you talk about exploring deeper themes, you're not just sort of exploring deeper themes. You are going into these kind of, because it's Gothic, they're kind of these dark places, you know, what's real, what's not real. And I would say that's kind of what your brand is at this point. So tell us about how you decided that this was the area or the space that you wanted to write in.
Well, honestly, I started just kind of looking around lots of different genres and things like that. And then I really just kind of felt like this was a story that God wanted me to tell. I started down this path and I just, instead of picking a genre, I just lumped all my favorite things together and started just making these stories like an ongoing conversation with God. And this is just kind of what came out. All the big questions that I wanted to ask God would sort of kind of subtly flow into the books, and then we'd kind of figure out the answers as we went along.
And what I love about that is that's really one of the beauties of writing is that when, especially when you're a Christian author, it can be this really amazing conversation with God where there's this back and forth going on and just this real opportunity to explore those deeper questions. So what are some of those deeper questions that you've been exploring in your books?
Well, the love note in particular was kind of looking at what makes love like authentic and true love, and what does it mean to be known and to be loved? And how do you fill the cracks in your soul when you really, really want that, when you really just want to be known and loved for who you are? So just, that's a pretty broad, general thing
Yeah.
to explore. But yeah, it was something that I guess my heart even needed at the time, because by the end of the book, the ending surprised me and really blessed me. So that was extra fun. Um,
And I think that's actually one of the things that as a writer has been most rewarding for me is those moments when you're wrestling, because writing is really a wrestling process. There are so many days when you used to be like, I'm done, this is
yeah,
terrible, and it's never going to be good. And then you get to the end and you're like, oh, wow, God had me on a journey through the writing of the book. And then when you have readers who are like, they start telling you how the book ministered to you, it's just this really wonderful circle. And so
yes.
yeah, I mean, it's just really cool. And so Betsy says that she has read all of your books and you have 4 out right
Wow.
now. And then the 5th is getting ready to
Mhm.
come out in October. So tell us a little bit about the book that's getting ready to come out.
So that book is a Victorian ballet theater book. And I kind of got inspired to write it because I have a 7-year-old little girl who is in love with ballet. She just kind of walks on her tiptoes everywhere since she was a little girl. So I took her to live performances. I did tons of research into ballet, and I was completely swept away by the life and the color and just the vividness and the strength in
Yeah.
ballet. So that was like, it came alive for me as I was writing this story. I loved it.
Well,
So
and
that was really fun.
that is awesome. And there's something about ballet that you can just go, oh, you know, they're dancing, whatever. And then when you have someone and you really start exploring it, you realize those are some of the strongest women when they're up on their toe
Yes.
shoes, they're doing all that dancing. And it's incredible. So,
Hmm.
um, before we go there, though, Joy says that she came through the Love Note pondering how our words truly impact those around us. So,
Yes.
is that kind of what the theme was in Love Notes?
It was, yeah, it was definitely one of the themes. I started researching the historical background of miasma, which is bad air, which is what they thought contributed to all the sicknesses and everything. So there was kind of a subtle miasma in the air of this house that she went to, of just really bad relationships, and just a lot of angst going on. And just, she could feel the way these people's words were impacting from husband to wife, from mother to daughter. It shaped what they thought about themselves and what they pursued in life. And just the overall feel of the house was so impacted by just the simple things that people said. And I had a character in there, an older woman, who collected words because she thought they were important. And I really enjoyed that a lot too. But it really struck me, and I didn't intend this, but when I got further into the book, it really struck me how much what we say shapes the hearts of people around us so very much, the people who are closest to us.
And that's something that I think it's so easy as for us to lose sight of and get careless with our words. And so, that there have been different seasons where God's really been like, okay, you need to watch how you're talking to people because they carry a weight. And I think sometimes we just get careless. And it's so true that it's the people closest to us, that our spouses, our kids, that take our words most to heart because we're supposed to be the safe place for them. And sometimes I'm not as much of that as I want to be, as my heart wants to be, because my mouth gets ahead of me. So you'll enjoy this too. Amy Watson says that you are one of her favorite humans.
Well, same back to her.
I think that's just always fun. And so Joy is telling Linda, who hasn't read any of your books, that she should start with A Rumored Fortune. And that is such a good one. But it's a little, it takes Gothic to a whole nother level. So what were you exploring with that one?
With that one, I started writing that week my son was born, actually. So it was a very difficult book to write. And it was just, it was very hard to be creative. It was very hard to believe this would ever turn into anything worthwhile. And it wasn't until I started, I was writing about vines and what it means to connect from the branch to the vine. And God walked me through this very, very sweet exploration of what it means to be connected to Him and the source of life. And so a lot of this book that's set in a vineyard is just about trying so hard to connect to people or to different things, but just that God is the source of life so much. And the hero kind of took a Gothic flavor too. He's kind of a brooding, type of guy too, but he really had to, both he and the heroine had to kind of understand what it meant to connect to God, and also what it meant to be two opposites coming together and connecting with each other.
And that is always so much fun, because when you're writing that, there's so much you can play with, because both characters, just like we as people when we get married, have to decide what we're going to give up and what we're not. And my husband's been watching, but I'm not sure he's watching now. But I can remember very early in our marriage going, I don't need to change. You knew what you were getting. And I'm like, oh, that is so not a good way to approach this. And going like, now as I look back, I'm like, oh, that's such a bad thing to say. But that's how a lot of people are, if we're honest. We come in going, you knew exactly what you were getting. And by the way, I found the blog with all the photos from your wedding, and you were radiant, and your husband is so handsome. It's just so fun. I might have to drop that link in there. But
thank you.
It's that's something we don't talk about a lot. And so to have that in a romance novel is actually really a gift to people.
Yeah, it was actually really neat, because the way that they met and sort of encountered each other was based on my husband and I, and how we first met, and how I didn't really care for him at first. So as we're walking through this newborn stage, I got to sort of relive why I fell in love with him and why we were so perfect of a fit together. And that was so much fun. That was like the biggest blessing.
I love that. Getting to fall in love when you all over again when you see your husband in a
Mhm.
new light. And that's what makes kind of that lifetime of love so can be so much fun because it just changes as our
Yeah,
seasons change.
yeah,
So what are you working on now? Because I think I helped you brainstorm your next book.
yes. So the next book is set in the Victorian asylums, and it features a concert pianist. So there's a little bit of research into the beginnings of music therapy, and I'm super excited about where it's going. It's another difficult book to write because it's set in an asylum, so it's a little bit dark, but the
A
piano and the
little bit.
music contrast. I'm hoping to bring a lot of contrast with light, from the music and things like that are going on. So it's been a neat book, but a challenge.
So, do you have this secret desire to be a concert pianist and a prima ballerina?
Oh, I don't think I have the elegance to be a ballerina. I watch my daughter do it and she gets so into it, and I don't think I'm quite that way.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I do love playing the piano, but I'm not enjoy doing it in front of people.
Yeah.
So,
As a concert pianist, you do kind of have to want to get up there. But I was just captivated by the idea that you were like, you know what, there are these asylums and there's music therapy and it's coming out and I want to see how they connect and
mhm,
kind of, weave it all together because that's the kind of research that, studying the asylums and what they were like is not exactly all roses and unicorns.
no, that was a really hard thing to research. I had to kind of pick and choose what books I was going to dive into. But the music therapy books were so incredibly refreshing. When I actually was reading case studies and I was reading, not even how-to manuals, but just people's experiences and stuff like that, people who are professional music therapists, that was the coolest. And it gave me a lot of hope reading all the asylum stories that, there is something out there that can make a difference.
Yeah. And I think that, sometimes it's so easy to focus on everything that's not working or the parts of our
Hmm.
past that we want to forget instead of also focusing on, but without those, we wouldn't have had the innovations that we
Yeah.
now just take as standard. I think of one of my friends is an occupational therapist. So, she's working with kids that a generation ago would have had absolutely nothing, no
Hmm.
support, no services. And it's because we went, wait, that's not okay, that things have
Yes.
changed. And that's where, looking back at our history and understanding even the not great parts of it is actually really important.
Hmm. And distilling down what she sees in these people at the asylum has helped her realize just that, there's a beat and a rhythm that is God created and indwelling in all of us. And that was so cool because, she was even despairing, my main character. So kind of forcing her to look at all these things, caused, I don't want to say breakthrough, but, she was able to come up with something that helped.
So
So
one of the
yes,
questions that Nina just asked, sorry, my puppy just slipped in here, is did you read anything from Nellie Bly about the asylums?
I did. I read her entire journal from when she was in the States, and the asylums were a little bit different in the States. They were in England. I think they had kind of advanced into more of a moral institution where they were a little bit kinder to people. But yes, I did read through everything that Nellie Bly wrote, and was kind of horrified by it.
Yeah, but I think
But it was fascinating.
when we were kind of brainstorming it last December, I think that was one of my questions too. So, by the way, have
Mhm,
you read have you looked into Nellie Bly? Because
mhm,
she was someone that as a teenager I read about when I was looking for every biography I could find on any woman who'd done anything incredible. Um,
uh-huh.
so that's really cool. So what's next for you? You've got some big changes coming. You've got a book coming out. You've got another one that
Mhm,
you're finishing up right now. And there's a reason
mhm.
everybody needs to go pre-buy uh, the Midnight Dance because you're going to be a little busy.
I think that midnight book dance, so, oh, are you still there?
Yep, I am. Okay, we
Okay.
froze and now we're back.
Okay. Yes. So definitely a busy time, but A Midnight Dance is also on sale at Baker Bookhouse right now for pre-orders. So also a good time to buy for that reason.
Yes. And so the great thing about Baker Bookhouse, for those of you who may not be familiar with it, is they run fantastic pre-order specials. And then there are often extras that are thrown in as part of it. But I mean, 30 to 40% off. So it's a great way to support an independent bookstore and get your favorite, you know, Christian author's next book. So, and they come out early. Like I just got Jen Toronto's next one yesterday, and it doesn't come out for like 3 weeks. So
I'm excited about that one.
I know, I love hers because hers are so different from yours. Because yours are these great, heavy, environmental, Gothic. I mean, they're just so multi-layered. And then hers are these fun farces set in the Gilded Age.
Nothing Gothic there.
Yeah, and like yours, I'm like, I love them, but I have to have 2 days that I know I'm not doing anything else because it's going to be an immersive experience when I dive into one of your books. And so
thank you.
that always makes it really fun too, because I'm like, okay, I'm ready. Let's go for the experience of a Joanna book. So tell us a little bit more about, you've got your husband and your kids, and what's life like for you? How do you find time for writing? Because your kids are younger and you're homeschooling, so you've got a lot going on.
Yes, it's a lot of really good things fighting for my time. So it's not, I don't know, I don't mind it too much. But so far, writing is just kind of fitting in the cracks. Sometimes I get up early. I give my kids a little bit of independent work usually, and I work then. Sometimes in the evenings when they go to bed, I try to catch up on things. So it's just kind of, and it fluctuates a lot. I try to hold my expectations loosely, and I don't schedule a whole lot. I just kind of go with what's happening. You know,
Yeah.
if there's a sick kid or something happens, you know, just roll with it. And writing tends to just fit in where it happens somehow.
Yeah, and that's amazing. And that's such a good way to hold it when you've got younger kids, because you just have to be more flexible and be more available really for them. So for those of you who haven't tried a Joanna book yet, The Rumored Fortune is one that was recommended. The Love Note is the one that came out, her most recent one. But then there's The Midnight Dance, if you want ballerinas. That one will be coming out in September. So in just about 7-ish, 8-ish weeks. Is there anything else that you would like to share with people before we wrap things up today?
The only thing that comes to mind is just how much I appreciate readers enjoying these books along with me. I have a blast writing them, but then once I get done, I feel like my part's over, and then I get to send it to all these other people who, you know, for some reason want to read a stranger's book, and I just think that's so cool. I still enjoy it, and I just appreciate readers a whole lot for sharing that with me.
Yeah, no, that's so true. Without readers, I always say my book isn't really finished until readers have interacted with my characters and, embraced the story. And so it's kind of a fun, interactive process. And Joy says that the Lady Jane Disappears audiobook is amazing. So if you like audiobooks, that would be a fun one to start with as well. And I think I listened to that one. One of them I did end up listening to, and Bethany just always does a great job with them. So yeah. Sorry, Ravel does a great job with them. So
yeah, they ended up getting Justine Error to read it, and it was beautifully done. I loved her voice.
Yeah.
So that was a good one.
It's always fun and kind of surreal to hear your own words. And sometimes I like listening to my books, and other times I'm like, nope, I can't. The voice isn't right. It's not the one I had in my head.
Yep. Or sometimes the way, and then I find things that, I could have said that better. You know, I could have rewritten that a different way. So
and you're like, but it's gone. It's done. I'm on the next story.
It's published.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Joanna. It's always so fun to get to interact with you.